Going to call to order the Muskogee Redevelopment Authority meeting for this April 26th, year 2022. Item number one, roll call, please.
Mayor Marlon Coleman, Deputy Mayor Jarek Reed,
Here.
Ivory Van.
Here.
Jamie Stout. Here. Alex Reynolds.
Here.
Stephanie Morgan. Tracy McGee.
Here.
Tracy Hoos. Here. Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Here.
Item number one, please.
Consider approval of special call MRA minutes of April 11, 2022, or take other necessary action.
We received the minutes. Are there corrections or additions to our minutes?
Move for approval.
Second it.
I have a motion and a second to approve our minutes. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Shirley Hilton Flannery.
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Here. Oh, yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Jarek Reed.
Yes. Item number one passes. Item number two, please.
Receive report on Civic Center operations and possible needs, and if necessary, take appropriate action.
Mr. Cruz?
Sorry, trustees, thanks for having me here today to talk about the Civic Center. I gave you a presentation, very brief, trying to cover every aspect of the Civic Center as fast as possible. If you go to the presentation, I'd like to talk first about revenues. I gave you 4 years of revenue in front of you. Obviously, we have historical information the last 15 years. We started in 2009 very aggressive. Probably have the best number in room rentals during that year, our first year once it was taken back from Spectra. We had a very aggressive 2020, but then again, COVID hit, and then of course we got the 2021 there, and the remaining of 2020, and then this year we are very aggressive again. People want to do events, they want to rent, they're moving, so it is increasing. You can tell that it's increasing, and I'm expecting in 2022 to be full of events. Same thing with concessions. Concessions are only good when we have public events, which means that we need to increase our public events in order to get more concessions revenue. Same story, you can see the numbers from 2019. We've been very successful at it when you compare it to the last 15, 20 years of the Civic Center. And we've done this with the skeleton crew compared to the past. I mean, in the past, the Civic Center ran with 9 to 11 people. As a matter of fact, the only time that the concessions or room rental was close to anything we've done was done with 12 people in the staff, 12 full-timers at the Civic Center, and it's still not even close to the numbers we've been pulling. If we go to our next page, we have things that are pending ever since we moved from the MRA. I don't want to go through all of them, so you guys, if you have any questions about any of them, please let me know. But the FOP for the Able Commission contract, we want to take that responsibility away from the client. Before, we used to tell the client, if you have a private event, you need to bring your own security. We want to take that away. We want to charge it now directly to the client to make sure that we do have an FOP or off-duty cop. And on top of that, we are going to tag a revenue on it too. So, in other words, every weekend, most likely, we'll have an FOP security guard in the at the Civic Center, which is going to help for liability or anything like that. Thankfully, in 4 years, we never had a problem where for alcohol or anything like that. So we want to continue to have it that way. But I believe this contract is very important for us, that we have it every weekend now from moving forward. I'm sure Katrina will share it. She prepared a great contract, and she'll probably be sharing with you guys that contract. Other things we want to go, we're trying to stay away from liability, and we want to do it by adding more registers. We want to run away from cash. We're trying to accept more credit cards, offer other things that you can order from your seat, but you're using a credit card. So you are going to see a contract from RLC, which is going to increase the amount of registered terminals we have. Like that, other perks that are going to happen during the public event mainly. Same thing with room rentals. We're trying to walk away from cash checks or credit cards only, and now we have a credit card machine at the office where we can accept credit cards or take a check instead of cash. We have a new room rental agreement, again, thanks to Katrina, that we put together. And same thing, that we have a new proposal for room rates. We would like to be competitive with MLK, the Hall of Fame, the hotels. And right now we have one set price that was set up back in 2018. We've been very successful with it, but I think we can do more if we change the weekly rates. I mean, we would like to be accessible for other people. Sometimes on Monday to Thursday, our prices are not that competitive. If we do morning events, we can change that too. And I think we could be very successful at rental. We can increase our revenue if we take a look at the new proposed rates and approve it, hopefully for next fiscal year. Briefly, I want to talk about the two last contracts and proposals, which is for Wi-Fi. One of the slides from the presentation, the HVAC and our Wi-Fi are the two biggest Achilles. We are, it's either too hot or too cold. We don't have our Honeywell system never reacts to when we really need it. So on a Friday night, we have the heater going, but it's hot. Clients get upset, and we have to make quick decisions of shutting it completely down because we don't have any control of it. So we would like to move that route. We would like to be able to, if it's too hot, we want to be able to get the air going, but we cannot because we have to go manually turn the chillers on or the boilers. If you guys ever toured that area of the Civic Center, if any, the boilers, especially the chillers, they're to their last line. And my fear is that one day we're going to go turn them on manually, and they're not going to come on. And these chillers we're talking about $2 million worth of HVAC system, and we don't want this to happen in last minute when we're in the middle of something. So that's one. And the next one is a proposal for Wi-Fi. Our Wi-Fi, it's definitely a problem. There's areas in the Civic Center that if you're going to do a presentation and you rented our rooms, you can't, just because even our special Wi-Fi provided by the city is not working properly in certain areas. Let me talk about the staff, which, by the way, thanks a lot for approving the 2 additional staff. It is very difficult and I keep hearing everywhere, it's an event center. We're 24/7. We could be city closest, we're there. The first 3 years, we did it with about 3 people. Our first year, we had over 400 events, which meant that I had to go from the office to the rooms to the bathrooms. We did it all with 3 people. Right now, we have a better group with 2 more. And I think that I will not bother you guys for another staff, at least for a while, but if we continue the increase, we will reach out for maybe 1 more additional. These guys are extremely good. They are willing to work the additional hours, different hours. I mean, we don't have the city structure as far as the hours. We are there sometimes 7 days a week. So thank you for that, and it's definitely been very helpful. I was able to use a 3-day vacation for the first time in 4 years, so that was great. So I appreciate that for you guys. Next, and this one is important for me, and it's not for bragging rights. It's simply because there's new faces here, and even though I know everyone individually, I don't think we've ever shared my resume. And I've been doing entertainment for 20 years as a talent buyer. Small events, big events, Madison Square Garden events to small events. So the Civic Center is not new. I mean, I started when I came here to Muskogee. I work at the port. I'm an accountant, graduated accountant, but I've also been doing entertainment for 20 years. So I want you to guys, I want this out there because I want you to feel that you have someone that has been working in entertainment for the longest. I've seen contracts. I've seen productions. I know we can get people here. Now, with this move to MRA, we have the best position to book. I mean, a big example, the last 6 months, 6 public events. All those events were booked. They were not that they came here or they wanted to come here. We reached out, and we were able to do it. In order to be successful and get more people interested in the Civic Center, we need to be more aggressive, more concerts, more productions, take the risk. And even like when I say take the risk, it goes back to my next line. Like I said, I'm an accountant. So some people call it that I'm cheap. I look at my resume, I look at my budget, and I try not to spend anything that I don't need. I will never scream and ask for anything that I don't need. If I'm screaming, it's because I feel that there's a need, and usually I have the money in the budget. So thanks a lot for looking at everything out there, and then thanks a lot for providing what I need. And now under the MRA, I feel like I'm being heard, and I'm getting things that are helping me out. So I will continue to do the same. I always feel that I will never come in front of you unless I know or I think it's an emergency. My biggest deal, again, is the HVAC, and my fear is that something will happen, and then all of a sudden we'll have to shut down the Civic Center because of it. So keep that in mind. Next, of course, is my wish list. The transportation ban is very important, especially if we're going to go into concerts. Next fiscal year, we're expecting the first 6 months to be aggressive with concerts and events. We will need this transportation ban because if not, we're going to be renting. And in the past, we can probably provide rental numbers, but it could add up really quick. I mean, there's no rental place here in Muskogee. We have to get them from Tulsa. We're getting charged for that trip. And then they have to come back and get them and take them back to the airport. We get charged for that trip. Transportation ban is probably going to be the next thing that we will be aggressive on. As we have an SBA grant that worked with Jennifer last year, and we've been considered for an additional amount 3 days ago. If we get this additional amount, it is the amount of a transportation ban cost. So I want you to keep an open mind that if we get this grant, it will be nice if we can use it for something like a van. Next thing is the marquee. We have a beautiful marquee up front. I mean, at least it's like a historic. When you walk to Muskogee, you see our marquee. It's off. It's not working. I would like to either fix it or get a new one. I'm all right if we don't get a new one, if we can fix it. Because, again, it's one of those that you walk into Muskogee, and it's telling you this is what's going on. So keep that in mind, please, that at one point we'll have to either fix it or get a new one. And other things like if we can have a banner or plotter that we can do banners and flyers, it helps. We're doing more events. It's faster if we can print our own promotions and we're out in the street right away with the promotion. Additional tables, security cameras, and that Wi-Fi booster that we could definitely use. We already talked about this. This is, challenges at the Civic Center. It is an underused building for a 1958 building. It's solid. I can tell you that it's better than any House of Blues, any of the 17 House of Blues that are out there. The Muskogee Civic Center is in better shape than many of these venues. The size of it. We can hold 4,000 people. There's nothing like it in a 100-mile ratio. We just need to attract people to the Civic Center, and it's already happening. I mean, the last few events we've done, I'm already getting calls from the promoters for other events they have because they love our venue. So here are challenges again, and it's the HVAC, the signal for the Wi-Fi, and then we're not somewhat of an ADA accessible because of the age of the building. So at one point or another, we'll have to visit about ADA, and I don't know how that will be done, but it's something that in the future we should be looking into. As far as the trustees, I know MRA is new, and everything is just changing. It changes every week. I want to make sure that everyone's getting the right information, and the information is in front of you. So I would like to definitely propose something similar to what has been done at the port, which is a monthly report. And this monthly report, everyone gets the bank balances, our opening and our closing balance, claims, and any projections or projects that we have. So I'm going to encourage you guys to push for something like this. So then every month you have access and you know exactly what's going on at the Civic Center, how much money we got, what we spend our money on. This is something that can be uploaded to our website so that everyone will have access to, and we all know what is the Civic Center doing and what we got and what we don't have. So it is something that I'll encourage trustees to go for, so you guys know exactly where's the Civic Center sitting every month. Budget. Again, I believe that I've been really good with our budget ever since 2018. We've been able to, we do have a good amount of cash, what we call. And on the new budget, we've been talking to Dennis. He's been very helpful. And Gene about combining the MRA budget and the Muskogee Civic Center budget. Right now, they're both separate. So every time I'm about to do a requisition, every time I need to get something, I have to look into both budgets, and it gets confusing. So I would like to consider a combination of these budgets for the Civic Center. And with that also, considering the rollover, of course, like we've done every year. So whatever is left over on June 30th, I would like to have it in our budget July 1st. I would like to go as far as the Civic Center. We used to have a $300,000 city transfer. Because of COVID, it went down to 150, but we do need the additional 150. So I would love to go back to the original $300,000 transfer we used to get, and if possible, an additional 50,000. And I will explain that 50,000 shortly. Same thing with the budget for the MRA. I mean, once we combine the budget, I would like to keep my rollover from the MRA account, which, again, this year, for example, that account started at 69,000. We've done events. Some event has done well, some other events not that well, yet we got 70, we should have anywhere around $75,000 to $80,000. So we are not losing. We're actually building revenue. I get $50,000 every year from the MRA, Economic Development Fund, but I would like to ask for an additional 25 if possible. So why am I asking for this additional? We want to do the other way around. I mean, with this year, we did January to June, we were very aggressive. On next fiscal year, I would like to be more aggressive, July to December. And I would like to book a series of concerts. I would like to book other things that require deposits. And having this additional money can take us really far. I mean, it's money that comes back. We got concession sales. We got beer sales. So it goes, the goal with the Civic Center, which I'm about to go next, the goal of the Civic Center is to, if you follow this, in 3 years, it could be self-managed without the city transfer. I feel very comfortable about it. We tested it with Mr. Gary Garvin the first year. We knew what was going to happen the second year. Unfortunately, COVID hit. But I feel very confident that if we get this additional funding on 3 fiscal years from now, the Civic Center runs on their own without a city transfer. We just have to be very aggressive with public events, because that's what gives us concessions, food, and alcohol. So it don't matter if an event doesn't do as well with ticketing, but as long as we're selling beer and food, our revenue will go up, not down. So that's why I'm asking for those additional 50,000 on the city, on the Muskogee Civic Center, and 25,000 on MRA. It will be very helpful. We want to be more aggressive in increase of public events. We just don't want to be just the circus and just the basketball tournament and just the rodeo. We want to be more aggressive. We want to have concerts. We would like to have 2 public events a month, concerts or anything like that that requires beer sales or concessions. And of course, we want to be more aggressive with the building name rights. We've been very close to, we have 2 different individuals very interested. They've toured our facilities many times, yet they're looking at the changes. They know we were city, they know we're MRA. They're following, because they're people, they are from Muskogee. So I'm sure they're looking to see what we're doing, if the Civic Center is back to the past, or if the Civic Center is moving forward and increasing the amount of events so they have better exposure. If we can accomplish that, that's also going to help financing events. And then final, purchasing manual, I would like to, when you guys get a chance, review that because we're under the City of Muskogee purchasing manual. I will be working with Katrina and see what we can do to speed up certain things. Example, we got offers for concerts. I'm not going to say names, but they're known artists. We get 24 hours to answer, 48 hours to answer. And the amounts, 25, 30, 40,000, that requires approval from everybody. So I want to make sure that my executive team has the power to, if I come to them and I have 24 hours to answer, then my executive team can actually execute. And I know because of the policy we have right now, there's some challenges there. So I will be working with Katrina, and want you to guys keep a good eye on this because we need this. I feel very strong about it. The Civic Center, like I said, is underused. That building is in good shape. With the exception of the HVAC, everything in that building is great. So I don't think that building needs any type of investment or any type of capital expenditure other than those items that I mentioned. So we are sitting in a really good building, and that's what I got.
Thank you, Mr. Cruz, for the report. There's no action actually needing to be taken today due to the time strength that we're under today. I would encourage any counselors that has any additional questions to reach out to John directly, unless there are questions that need to be asked at this point. So I encourage you to reach out to John and with any questions that you have for Civic Center operations. Looks like the future is bright for our Civic Center.
Yes, it is.
We thank you guys for the work that you're doing, and glad that the new staff is helping move things to another level.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to item number 3.
Consider an executive session to discuss and take possible action on the following. A, pursuant to Section 307B1, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to discuss the appointment of an interim general manager, including terms and conditions of employment, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session. B, pursuant to Section 307C11, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to discuss matters pertaining to a proposed economic development project located within the northwest quadrant of the city, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session.
Have a motion to go into executive session.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to go into executive session. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Shirley Hilton Flannery,
Yes.
Tracy Hoos,
Yes.
Tracy McGee,
Yes.
Alex Reynolds,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes. Back from our executive session for the Redevelopment Authority meeting for April 26th. Mr. Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pursuant to Section 307B1, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, the authority did convene an executive session to discuss the appointment of a general manager, including terms and conditions of appointment. Based on the discussion, an appropriate action would be to authorize an offer to be made for part-time interim general manager to Gary Garvin within the employment terms discussed in executive session for a period not to exceed 90 days, and further to authorize the chairman or vice chairman to execute any necessary documents until such a contract can be brought forth for execution.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Shirley Hilton Flannery,
Yes.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee,
No.
Alex Reynolds, Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes. Is that enough for it to pass?
Yes. 5.
Okay, next item.
Pursuant to Section 307C11, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, the authority did convene an executive session to discuss matters pertaining to a proposed economic development project within the Northwest Quadrant. The presentation was made by staff to the authority, and staff was given direction, but no action is necessary at this time. Mr. Chairman?
That concludes our agenda for today.